Hi, Don. Don, you're on mute.
Okay. Hello.
Hi.
So,
Hold on, I'm driving.
okay.
You know what? Maybe easiest for you to log into
And anytime you say log in, that's going to be complicated. Just, oh, let me see if I can. Where's share screen?
should be the 3 dots and then
3 dots.
see, I'm on my mobile device, so I can't see what you're seeing.
Yeah. Record reactions, chat, participants.
Hold on, let me see if I can go into you. Participants.
Oh, I see share screen. And
okay. Perfect.
Share. Can you see that?
Hold on, I just made you a co-host. Yes.
Yeah, this is going to work. Good, good. Okay. All right.
So you may want to go ahead and have your title slide up full view. So as people are coming in, that's what they see.
So can you see that?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
And then just as a reminder, let the participants know that at the conclusion of the meeting, they'll get a notification on the screen in which they're viewing to complete a survey.
Okay. Let me, because I was trying to find it. I don't know how I spoke to you earlier because now I can't find your phone number. Just in case something goes horribly wrong, what is a phone number I can call you on?
Sure, it's 770
Okay.
875 3805.
3805. Okay. And you're showing up on the screen as Gary.
Yes.
Okay.
Now I've got 2 people already in the waiting room. Do you want me to keep them there until 6 o'clock, or you want me to start letting them in at 5:50?
I would let people in around 5:50. Now, if you see an elected official in the waiting room, go ahead and let them in.
Okay.
I know Miss Gums, Rao, and Khalid and Tammy all said that they were going to join.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to leave you hanging. I will, stay on for about the first 30 minutes. But I'll leave my screen up. I just may not be actively looking, kind of thing.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll wait until about 5:50 and let them in. Right now there's 3.
Okay.
And when I last checked, it was 60 people.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna start off with a little introduction, go through the presentation, then allow elected officials to make any comments they want, and then answer questions. Now, if I answer questions, Ms. Gomes wanted to know, will they be able to just speak, or will we have to read their messages in some type of chat? Is this really a Zoom meeting where everyone will be allowed to just speak?
Yes.
Okay. That works. That works for me.
Okay. I'm trying to monitor the room and drive at the same time. But I'll be stationary by 6.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna grab myself some non-alcoholic liquids. That way I can stay hydrated.
Okay. And I'll be letting everybody in about 3 minutes, 2
All right.
minutes.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, Don, you may want to mute yourself until you're ready to speak.
Okay.
All right.
Good afternoon, everyone. We will be getting started in about 5 minutes. And this is the City of South Fulton Solid Waste presentation for residential input. If one guest will say something on mic, just to make sure that I can hear you okay.
Testing, testing, testing.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that.
Mr. Gary, I was on the South Fulton pages of Sonia Patterson and noticed that this was not on the calendar. Is there a way to make sure that this is put on the City of South Fulton's calendar to ensure people are aware and will participate in the future calls?
Absolutely. I checked and it was there this afternoon, so I apologize if it wasn't up there at the time you were checking. I know they had to change some wording, so it may have been taken down briefly.
Okay, yeah, I saw that there was a development for the Old National District for today, but that was the only event that I saw for today.
Okay, I apologize for that, but I did check about 2 o'clock and I did notice that this event was listed as well as the next one for the 22nd.
Great.
And I am working with the elected officials for some live town hall events also.
Thank you.
So as everyone is coming in, what we will do this evening is I have about 12 slide presentation, and then at the end of those 12 slides, I will allow the mayor and council, anyone who has joined in as far as the city's elected officials, to make any statements or any addresses to the residents. And then we will open it up to questions. And again, this is the City of South Fulton Solid Waste presentation requesting input for recommended changes. And this presentation is geared towards our residential people living in the city. We do have other meetings that are going to be scheduled specifically for businesses and specifically for service providers. So if you happen to be a service provider working for one of the waste companies, we will have a whole separate meeting to address your comments and questions separately. So again, just wanted to let everyone know this is the meeting to address the residential portion.
Thank you for that. My name is Monique McCoy. Would you mind introducing yourself since you seem to be leading the meeting? I'm not familiar with who you are, or what role you play in the city.
Yes, Ms. McCoy. Let me turn my camera on. I've met several individuals. My name is Donald Toms, and I'm the assistant city manager here with the City of South Fulton. I've been with the city since December of 2020.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm glad that we have a good turnout today. And again, this was scheduled for 6 o'clock, so I will wait about another 3 minutes and then go ahead and get started. for those that are just joining, this is the City of South Fulton Solid Waste presentation requesting input for recommended changes for residential services. And we will be getting started in about a minute or two. Hopefully everyone can see the slide that is a green screen. Okay, thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us this evening. This is the City of South Fulton Solid Waste presentation requesting input for recommended changes for residential services. So I know we still have some people that are joining the virtual meeting this evening, and I will go ahead and get started. So I'm just going to quickly look at what we have in the chat, but okay. All right, I will go ahead and get started. And let me see, is Councilmember Gums with us this evening?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, I just want to make sure that some people's mics were working. So you can hear me okay, Councilmember Gums, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, and you can see the screen okay?
Yes.
All right. All right. I will go ahead and get started with the presentation. And just so everyone is aware, I have about 12 slides. I'm going to go through those slides. Then I will allow an opportunity for the mayor and council members to address the residents and then open it up for questions. So with that, I will go ahead and get started. And again, thank you everyone for joining us on a Tuesday evening. Okay, so this is the solid waste input meeting for residential input session. We will be doing a separate meeting for businesses and construction input sessions, which will be the dumpsters and the roll-offs, and also a separate meeting if anyone here is working with one of the service providers or has questions that are regarding the service provider standpoint. So today is for the residential, and that is the cart. You'll see that picture indicated with the little red check marks underneath. The meetings, you can find the information on the City of South Fulton's website, which is cityofsouthfultonga.gov. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you will see the calendar. And after this meeting, the next meeting will be another virtual meeting scheduled for the 22nd. The residential input. The City of South Fulton is seeking input on current problems involving solid waste collections and services being offered, requested services to be provided. We want to have a good understanding of the current program and challenges, and understanding opportunities of a citywide program. The current solid waste model. The current solid waste model is defined as a free market model. And that's what we currently have for our residents here in the City of South Fulton. And under the current model, each resident will enter into basically their own agreement with a service provider based off of a list that the city has selected through a franchise agreement. Based on that current model, the city has very little input into pricing, types of service, collection, and if something goes wrong, getting them to come back out there to service the residents. Services sometimes are limited based on scale of operation. I know in talking with some residents have the ability to have recycling or additional services. Some residents are not offered that opportunity. We have multiple vendors may operate within a single neighborhood, and within that same neighborhood, there could be differences in cost and schedules. There's also the question that has come up before staff and our elected officials about accountability in customer services. As I mentioned, right now it's a two-party contract between the provider and the residents. So in any disputes, right now it's very difficult for the city to intervene. We have done it when entire neighborhoods have been missed. We will contact the provider, but not being the direct customer of the contract. That has caused some challenges to get top quality services for our citizens. So we are here seeking input and putting together a more robust program. And the solid waste program objectives really involves five areas. One is the service that we would provide to the residents. One major factor that we hear from a lot of residents is the litter. Not only the litter that may be left behind on the streets, but along the commercial corridors. And we'll often ask, how will the city address that? As part of a comprehensive solid waste program, litter is a very important part of the process moving forward. We want to make sure not only do we provide excellent service curbside, but also that our community maintains clean streets in a great appearance. Collections is part of that. That's what we will provide curbside to the residents, accountability and enforcement. When we talk about accountability, the city will be the provider. That's what we're looking at doing, is becoming the provider for the residents. And as that, the accountability, reporting requirements on the hauler to ensure proper disposal and collections, because we would be responsible to the residents. We would be able to, in any missed routes or any delays in services, we would be able to provide two avenues to take in your calls for better service. One would be to maintain a call center, and one would be a direct line, email, and available services to the city for both curbside collection and, when necessary, a rapid response collection team for those days where you were missed. We do not want, as a city moving forward, for you to go a week or 2 weeks without garbage pickup. So during those times where the rest of your street was picked up and for whatever reason your residence was not, we would deploy a rapid response collection team to pull your garbage cart and provide a new cart so that you're not inconvenienced with any lengthy delays. The other part of accountability, greater accountability, is as I mentioned, through better communication, having the call centers, local offices, whether that's City Hall or another inside the city limits place that you could actually physically speak to someone, but also by bringing it under the city, you will also have your elected officials as a voice for any of your concerns. Under enforcement, some of the advantages of the program we're moving towards is the city will assist with any enforcement compliances or all claims caused by the process of collections. Right now, if there's any damage to your property, if the provider happened to damage your curb, your mailbox, or anything else in part of the collections, it would actually be a little bit of a civil process between the customer and the provider. Once the city is the provider, any of that assistance would be claimed to the city, and we would be able to instantly open that up, send someone out there and address the problem and also respond to it, to include at times if the garbage truck was to have leak hydraulic fluids on your street or cause any other concerns from the residents. Now the city would be able to directly enforce that contract and get involved, issue out a work order for that service. So that's part of the enforcement. The other items would be penalties enforced for non-compliance due to litter or illegal storage of garbage upon property. So, right now our ordinance and code enforcement does allow that, but the program will be a little bit more robust to make sure that we have a little bit better compliance and enforcement. Right now, as mentioned, there could be several service providers on one street. Moving forward, the goal is to service the entire neighborhood on a single collection day. So if your date of collection is Tuesday, the entire neighborhood will be picked up Tuesday, and then we can monitor trash cans being removed off the curb and work with the local HOA or neighborhood organizations to make sure that we are able to maintain cleanliness of the street and the property, and also better enforcement of routes and collection times. Under the city being the sole provider of the contract to the residents, we will be able to ensure that collection times do not start too early or go on too late. I think right now the tentative times we're looking at is not starting before 6:30 a.m. And then not going much past standard dark, 6 o'clock. So anything outside that operation, if there's a complaint, we'll be able to enforce that, make sure that everything is collected. Residential services, it's my understanding in talking with several residents that most of the services are compiled of household trash, weekly household trash. What the city is looking at is a more robust program that will take into account not only weekly household curbside services, but also look at a recycling program, weekly or monthly leaf and limb removal, monthly bulk waste removal, continue with some type of quarterly community drop-off event, keep the city of South Fulton beautiful program. And what we are looking at as part of that in a good education program is doing it within the districts closer to the community. We do not want someone who lives in the old national area to have to go all the way to FIB to drop off paint cans and other things that you have in your garage or in your possession that you would not normally put in your household trash. So when we do these quarterly community cleanup days, we want to make sure that they're within a reasonable distance from the community. So we are looking at right now trying to have at least 7 of those, 1 in each district at a convenient location. Also having an enhanced litter control services and program. And I believe I have an additional slide that talks a little bit more about that. Maintenance and litter control. Changes to the ordinance will provide for enhanced litter control measures. By standardizing services, neighborhoods will have a single pickup day and uniform carts, as mentioned. We are also looking at litter crews will operate within the commercial corridors and establish thoroughfares. The city council is also looking at a street sweeping operations program as part of the program to make sure that the curb and gutters of the streets remain cleaned and maintained. That is important not only for solid waste, but also for stormwater within our community. One of the big questions that we often are asked is the cost. The cost will be defined and fixed as a single price across the city for our residents. And I will provide a best guess on what I believe the cost will be. But of course, there'll be factors that will either reduce the cost or increase the cost. And I will talk about that. As part of the program, we're looking at the cost will be directly related to the services being provided and the frequency of the services. And the bills will be issued to the property owners to reduce administrative fees. We are looking at anticipated sending out the bills either annually or semi-annually. Monthly is a bit difficult and would add administrative fees. And with the city of South Fulton not having a direct utility, city of Atlanta provides water, the Fulton County provides sewer to most, and then of course electric and natural gas are provided by other entities. It makes doing a monthly bill a little bit more difficult. We're also looking at the bills going to the property owners because it makes it a little bit more complicated if there's a renter situation. When I talk about costs and things that as we build the program will increase or decrease the price of services. So here's an example of your debris service. As a city, we are very much committed to trying to provide the basic services to the residents to include the weekly household trash pickup, yard debris services, and bulk waste. We feel as though those 3 components will help contribute to a cleaner community and also reduce litter throughout the community. So when we look at yard debris services, bagged versus unbagged, if you look to the right of the screen where you got the paper bags, and most people will put either leaf clippings, grass clippings, leaves, small branches, and just put them along the curb or right behind the curb line. And along with the service, that is very easy and a low-cost service that the city could provide to collect. If you look to the right, you're seeing some communities that residents are allowed to blow the leaves during certain months of the year right to the curb, and then a vacuum truck will come and suck up the leaves. And other programs that I've been part of, you were also able to put piles of limbs approximately 3 feet by 3 feet, not bundled, but just stacked up, and then a vehicle would come by and scoop it up. One thing that I failed to mention as we started this program, I've been working in city government a little over 27 years, and during the last 15, I have actively managed solid waste programs such as what we're trying to lay out here, and actively negotiated 4 of them and provided everything from weekly household and recycling collection in 96-gallon containers to the yard debris, both bagged as we show and loose pickup, as well as bulk waste. And I did mention what I think the price would be, and I did make a few phone calls today to see how much prices have gone up in the last couple of years. And I feel pretty certain that we could have a very robust program for around that $25 range. That is $25 per month. Again, I put a little asterisk next to that because the city council has not decided as far as what services. And one thing that will really help us to better understand what the residents are really looking for, hopefully on the screen, you'll see the solid waste checklist. And this is just a simple little checklist for us to get a good understanding of the services that our residents really want. And we have a scale of 1 to 5. We ask that you check it. My understanding as this meeting will conclude, the survey will pop up for you to download. And if it's not currently on our website, it will be placed there in the morning, along with this entire presentation for you to review. But this solid waste checklist will help us. We're also looking at doing a digital version where you can just click the boxes, and then you'll also see below it, I left some blanks 1 through 5 so that you're able to add any services that we did not include. At this time, I would ask any of our elected officials, starting with the mayor if he's on, and then maybe going districts 1 through district 7, to go ahead and provide any comments that you would like to provide at this time. And I also believe the city manager is also on. So once we go through this, the council members, if you have any comments also. So at this time, are there any city council members or mayor that would like to add any comments?
This is Councilwoman Carmelita Gomes. I am, first I want to thank everyone for joining the call today. It's great participation. I would love to see more people participate. So please make sure that you share this with a neighbor that is not on the call today. I'm just specifically here to listen to what the residents are saying. I know we've had a few calls and we've had discussions, but I'm more interested in hearing and reading the comments of what the residents have to say about going to the model. So that's what I'm looking forward to. And again, thank you for joining.
Yes, thank you as well, Councilmember Gums and Mr. Thompson, putting on this presentation. As I too, this is Councilman Corey A. Reeves, and I too am here to listen to the sentiments of our constituency, as the area over here that I represent has very strong input onto our sanitation, particularly the litter and the illegal dumping situations. And so as long as those can be curtailed, I'm here to listen to all those comments, and please be sure to fill out that survey. Very detailed. Thank you.
This is Councilwoman Natasha Williams from District 6. I just want to reiterate what my colleagues have said about filling out the survey. I did drop it into the chat so that everyone can have a copy. We would definitely appreciate not only you filling out the survey, but also share the survey with your neighbors to have them fill it out as well, because we really do want to have the opinions of the citizens documented. So please do go into the chat and grab that survey, fill it out and share with your neighbors so that they can do the same. Thank you.
Are there any other council members that would like to speak? If not, we will go to Mayor Khalid.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
Again, to reiterate what all of my colleagues on council said, thank you, Mr. Toms, for this presentation. We will have 2 more of these for citizens and 1 for businesses and commercial interests. So please let everyone know if they missed this one today, they can watch it here or they can attend another live presentation. And that survey is so important, whether we have recycling at your door or whether you have to go somewhere to recycle, how often we have bulk trash collection, which is something that all of our residents have asked for. The decisions that we make will be based a lot on this survey. So your input is crucial. We want to hear it now before we make the decision. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
If I could just jump in for a second, there are several residents saying that they're not able to open the survey from the chat. Could you please make sure that it is on the website for everyone to be able to access? Because we want to make sure that it gets in the hands of as many of our residents as possible.
Absolutely. Thank you for that comment. We will make sure that that is up on the website. And also there should be a digital version of this available in the next day or so. So if you check on the calendar where these meetings are held, the survey should be in there. And we'll make sure that it's available. We've also provided a copy to each of the council members. So you can either contact me directly, look on the website, or any of your elected officials for a copy of that survey. So at this time, I will open it up to residential questions. And forgive me, I enjoy doing these meetings live via Zoom. I'm not sure if there's a great way that I can tell to go ahead and recognize. So if you would respectfully open up your mic, state your name and your question, allow me an opportunity to answer that, and then I'll call for the next resident. So if someone wants to go ahead and go first.
Hi, this is Alejandro Farrell, District 5. I've been here 22 years. I guess the concern I have, and people see me posting things in the chat, I've worked in code enforcement. I've been doing it almost 20 years. My council person knows my opinion about it. This model change. I think we're not holding the current providers as a governmental entity accountable. I understand they're private enterprise. We did the same type of model in Sandy Springs. We reduced the number once we started realizing we were getting complaints from certain providers, from the residents, and our city manager just went straight to those providers and had a basically come to Jesus meeting with all of them, said either you get on board, provide the services at this cost or around this cost, or we'll find someone else that will. But the cost of bringing in-house a street sweeper costs almost $750,000, and don't let it break down, because it's going to break down almost every week. So that's why most cities got out of that business, and they hired privatized companies that can handle the workman comp piece as well as the equipment piece to deal with those things. So imagine a garbage truck probably costing $1 million at minimum, and the hydraulics going out. That's what usually goes out. And I work for a current municipality now that has the county that picks up trash. And you know what I get? I get the same complaints. Hey, the county folks miss my whole street, my whole neighborhood. I work in a municipality with 60,000 people, 30 square miles, and I get them every week. And I have to reach out to the county director. Hey, did I miss your street? Oh, man, we missed it. We're going to send somebody back out tomorrow or the next day.
Thank you. I appreciate those comments. And the way we're looking at this, we are not looking at it from the city purchasing the garbage trucks, hiring the people, figuring out the routes. We plan on following the similar models of other cities where the residents are our customers, but we will look at providing through a contract a qualified provider that understands how to do the routes and collection and services. But we want to make sure that the prices are stable, that everybody, whether you're in District 1 or District 7, is paying that price, that you have an advocate with the city and contact information for us to make sure that we are able to fix the problem. Now, there would be some employees working with the city, but they would not be the ones that would typically be picking up the trash, driving the truck, and hauling it to the disposal site. So I do.
Mr. Tom, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
We can do that now. You can have, just like we have contract for services to run public works projects, you can have a project manager, solid waste coordinator, whatever you want to call him or her, to manage these waste haulers without going through some exorbitant program, and then allowing yourself time as a city to decide in 5 years, this is our plan to bring in waste haulers, whatever, sanitation. I think I hear you, but again, accountability, period. The ordinances are in place. The solid waste ordinance is in place. Just because they're a private company doesn't deter them from adhering to the solid waste ordinance. So just bring a team, whatever you want to classify them, and that's what they deal with daily.
I think we're saying the same thing, sir.
But you're saying we're going to manage pricing and all that. Just hold them accountable now. And we want to. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Thank you, sir. If I could have the next resident.
This is Monique McCoy. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'll wait.
Yes. Go ahead, Monique.
This is Monique McCoy. I live in District 2. I have a few questions. One is, was there a needs assessment or something done that resulted in this needing to be a priority right now? Of course, there are always concerns and complaints about the service we get, but that's not uncommon to other services we get privately. So why this needs to be a priority right now is a little confusing to me. I'd also like to know if we can get a clear answer on where we are in this process, because as it has been noted in the chat, you don't sound like this is something that is still up for discussion. This sounds more like we're as citizens trying to be convinced. There's an attempt to convince us to move forward with a decision that may have already been made. You're like as if you're trying to get buy-in. And another comment that I put in the chat, and I'll go ahead and make it now since I have you, is if they're not doing well with their customer service in a free market system, what makes anyone think that they'll do better when they have a contract with guaranteed funds coming to them for a specified period of time?
Okay. Let me start off with where we are in the process. And as far as the process, this has been ongoing for over a year in collecting the complaints, going out and visiting residents, and working through the various issues that have been brought to our attention. What we have done to this date is look at the various options that are available, and also to look at our city ordinance to see where there are current concerns and issues that need to be addressed, regardless if we stay with a free market or if we go with a city program. So what we have right now is a draft ordinance, and then studying it and getting out to the residents additional input into the types of services that are being requested, problems, and moving through there. As far as decisions, the council has not voted on anything at this point. So, yes, ma'am.
This is Jewel Johnson in District 1.
Yes, Ms. Johnson.
My concern is very high for where we're going right now.
Okay.
And I have listened to the presentation as a resident that has been where I'm living now for 34 years. It is always in the best interest of the people to be able to control their own pocketbook. Now, for us to be paying the city to pay for our trash, and we're using a one service, there is no competition there. It seems like to me what's laying out is a way to just, like people are saying, it's already a done deal. They may not have voted, but we do know how things go. And I know that GFL, it used to be waste management. They're the same thing as waste management. They buy their contracts. And when they do that, they get their money back by raising the cost of what they're doing. Interests of the people. Because normally in cities, it's been done in Atlanta, it's been done in Fulton County and Georgia and other cities around. When they do this, they allow investor companies to come in and monitor how we are paying. And if you miss one day of paying for that trash, that means that they have the opportunity to buy up that FICA, and the law says that they don't have to let you know that they're holding it until they get enough to go after your property. You lose your property, and that make us lose the ability to so I say to you all, I really appreciate the presentation, but it is not in the best interest of us. And I'm speaking, I mean, people make up their mind and do what they want to do. I like my carrier, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because when things get where I can't understand why this happened, why are you tearing up my container, I talk to them and they explain to me what happened. And they apologize. We pay them on time. They haven't been going up on our costs. And they have told us if we had things that that they can't pick up. We can put it on our truck and bring it to them. They dispose it for us. I like the situation we have because I'm in control of my pocketbook there. And I really think that the surveys, it's been my experience that the council we have now have used our surveys to go ahead and do what they want to do and said we had meaningful input. I'm not doing a survey. I'm going to be watching to see who vote for this.
All right, thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Mhm.
Can I have
Good
the
morning.
next resident, please?
Good morning.
Exactly.
My name is Braille Driscoll. I'm out of District 2. I want to echo the same sentiments of everyone who has spoken before me. I just can't understand why we want to extend additional trust to these mediocre performers in the free market. And now they're in consideration for single source. And I'll tell you, Waste Industries, GFI, have been a nightmare for me and my family. We couldn't even switch. We were locked in with this company, and their customer service is the worst I've ever seen in my life. My second point, I do not want any additional monies attached to my property taxes. I would prefer to pay for the services as a typical bill. It just seems like you're increasing my property taxes when you do that. Thank you for the time.
I appreciate that, sir. And right now, if I could just address the whole property tax, this would go out as a separate bill. Ideally, it'd be the most cost effective if the tax commissioner would send out that bill for us, but it would not be part of the tax bill. So I just want to make that note. And again, nothing has been finalized. We are still looking at all the options, but I do know right now we are not looking at attaching it to the tax bill. So thank you for that comment, sir.
Thank
May
you.
I have the next resident, please?
This is Keith Perry from District 2. I think I want to echo it, and I think what you're seeing is a trend from all the residents that are speaking that this is something that we don't want the city to undertake. But right now we have a situation where we have several different carriers. There's a lot of small business carriers that are out there doing work. Some of them are doing a great job. Some of them doing a terrible job. Some of them doing an okay job. When you go to a single carrier, all of these small carriers they're not going to be able to compete. There's really going to be one carrier, and we all know who that carrier is, who has the breadth to treat the whole city. And that's not one of our favorite carriers. That's one that consistently gives poor service. And I think it's kind of naive to think that the city, being the single customer, is going to experience better service than we do now with that carrier in the free market. I think you're trying to chase a problem with a solution that just won't work. The city as a single provider will have no better response from these carriers, this one carrier, than we do now. So, you need to take that off the books. The city has the power right now to improve what ails the citizens now. You got the power to say who is a regulated carrier that we can contract with. If you're getting 5 million complaints from the residents about a carrier, withdraw their license. Do not let them compete in the city of South Fulton. You do that, you help us out. You only have carriers on there that they know if they're not responsive to us, they won't be allowed to compete in the city of South Fulton. Exercise the power you have now to solve the problem. This huge new program, it's not going to help, it's going to hurt. Use the powers you have now to make it better. Thank you.
I appreciate that comment, and we love our local carriers, and we are looking at the ability to utilize, and that's why we're having a whole separate meeting to talk with the carriers. Now, the the company that you mentioned and others have alluded to that is providing poor service and providing not the best customer service and everything there, those definitely go into our consideration. Without mentioning that name, we are very much aware right now, being a free market, even though it's a free market and we hear complaint after complaint, people are signing contracts with that company currently in the free market, and they currently have, last time I saw reports, close to 60% or more of the city of South Fulton's territory under the free market model. And then when customers call us to complain about the poor service, there's nothing we can currently do, but we do know, and our council members are very much aware of it and have had conversations with that provider. There is very little we can do currently to get better service out of that provider. And that provider, as we move forward, if we continue down this path, would not be selected based on the number of complaints. There are several screening devices that we would put into place, but I just want to reiterate that.
Well, can I ask just a quick question?
Yes, sir.
Has there ever been a provider that the city has removed their ability to service South Fulton? And if the answer is no, why don't you do that now? Why don't we start a trend and let companies know that if they are not responsive to the citizens, they won't be allowed to be here? You do have that power.
We do have that power under the franchise agreement, but I would say this: for the mere fact that they have so many customers, I would go out on a limb and say for every one bad complaint, someone's got to be happy with that service, because if not, I would think just word of mouth alone would knock them out from being such a large provider in the area and go to some of these other 6 to 7.
Respectfully, sir,
yes,
your answer is the problem. You're basically saying they're so bad, somebody must think they're good, so we keep them.
No, because right now it's a free market.
That's the issue. The problem is not all districts are serviced by more than one carrier. If you guys took the effort to get more carriers to service more parts of the city and establish and breed that competition, we wouldn't have this issue. But thank you for your time.
And that's a great point. Deborah Kennedy, District 1. We have limited choices. I left that big provider because they were providing horrible service. I had limited choices to go to. The second one I went to, I'm having trouble as well. So I just wanted to give a comment to that. When you're saying they've got 60%, some of that is because those are the only choices we have. Thank you.
Mr. Tom?
Yes.
I actually support what you're doing and saying I've lived across this country, and the city of South Fulton is probably one of the only cities that did not have a single payer provider. And I'm sure as a city, we would put an RFP out, so we wouldn't necessarily go with just GFL. We're just assuming as citizens, you'll go with someone that we currently have. We may even do it a national contract. Even before I purchased my house in District 3 and built it 2 years ago, I lived in the city of Smyrna now. The water company provided the trash billing, which was over like $35, $40 a month. So the $25 is affordable. I've lived all across the country, and I'm hearing complaints about a lot of people wanting the city to do this. So I see that you're responding to the residents. Of course, you can't make everyone happy, but we got to listen as residents. We got to see, or have you show us kind of like we will put an RFP. We're not necessarily going after these local companies. Are there other national companies we can go after and say, we want you to service our city? Because is it my understanding Right now, of course, we have laws on the budget, but like you said, if I have GFL and they service 60%, if I knock them out of the carrier, what can residents do? Because if Latham can't service the 60%, then we're damned if we do, damned if you don't. So this process will kind of help us hold our contractors accountable, and that the city. I don't have a problem. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Talking to some of the large carriers that are not currently in our market, that's basically what they have stated, that they have not entered into the South Fulton market because to pick up one or two customers on one street and one or two customers another street, it's not cost effective for them to offer contracts. That is the other reason why there is a vast difference in cost between various parts of our great city, because if they could service several residents on one street, it's more cost effective for them to load up that truck, take it to a transfer station, dump it, and continue. And I think you're absolutely right. If due to some of the complaints, we were to eliminate a current provider or two, I believe that would drive up the current cost under the current model. And that's what we're trying to prevent. We're trying to protect the residents and bring down the cost and provide better service. So thank you. If we can have the next resident, please.
Okay, yeah, this is Connie Robinson in District 2. And I just want to say, you said you believe it would drive down the cost, which means you don't have statistics that show how you can drive down the cost. And I like the suggestion that was shared earlier about why not create an office or hire a project manager or somebody to try to regulate these companies, see what kind of complaints or what type of customer service they are providing, how well they're doing or not doing, and revoke their licenses if they are not sustaining the agreements or the customer service or whatever that they have to the communities that they're serving. As it was mentioned earlier, many residents or communities, they only have one provider. So again, that 60%, what does that represent? Does it represent the communities that only have that provider? So where are your statistics that really show us, what homework you all have been doing to prove that this model you're trying to push off on us is an acceptable one? And where are the comparisons that show us that the things we're suggesting may not work because of this, that, or the other? We're not seeing any of that. And I think it would be more cost efficient to try to go with just manning an office to look at the providers and try to regulate the providers rather than creating a whole new program where we have to pay into the city for our trash service. Thank you.
I appreciate that. May I ask you one follow-up question?
Yes.
Could you share with us what are you currently paying on a monthly breakdown?
About $32 a month.
Okay, about $32 a month. All right, thank you very much for that information.
Don't know how to divide it. Mr. Thomas, quick question. This is Mr. Farrell again. I'm sorry to impose. What KPIs do you already have established? What is the waste hauler scorecards that we have or were established when we created these contracts for these vendors? If not, let's maybe start with that, using customer service as one. I worked in telecommunications for almost 10 years. We had to have all cell towers up 99.999% of the time. If not, I got a call in the middle of the night saying, hey, my cell tower's down and I need to get it fixed. So what I'm saying is, are there any KPIs that have been established? And then two, are these waste haulers paying impact fees? And if so, what is the amount that the city is collecting per year? I know, again, working in Sandy Springs, I had waste management had 60% of the city, and they used to pay us about $50,000 a year because they paid quarterly, and it was about $10,000 for a quarter for the tons of trash that they took away from the residents.
Thank you for that. And I think, as well as the the elected officials that gathering that information is essential. We do have some of the information, but what makes it a little difficult is, again, because we are not the direct customer of the provider, that the only input we receive would be those occasional complaints from the residents. So out of 107,000 residents, about 35,000 rooftops, there's no data that comes in regularly from the customers to tell us how satisfied they are with their provider.
So having just said that, sir, why are we taking such a big leap and making such a drastic change if we don't even have the data to support that it's necessary? I would like an answer to that question, because when I asked questions earlier, you didn't answer all of them. Thank you.
Thank you. The reasons that the elected officials are starting to look at a different option to provide to the residents is due to the amount of complaints that we do receive, and they don't come in just necessarily on provider A. They're across the line, but when we go to handle a lot of the issues, whether it is the roads, the missed services, the various issues within one neighborhood, and not knowing which provider may have caused the leaks on the road, the damages, and the vast complaints that we have between the prices, because I know one person mentioned they paid $32. I think if we went through the group, we would find things above and below that range for the same service. So the consistency on cost and services. The other things are things that have not come up yet, and those are things that affect our seniors. And by having these individual one-off contracts, sometimes the people that need the services the most are not provided them, such as the backdoor services and other things that may come along with requests when it's a city provided service, whether that city provided services through a contract through the Sandy Spring model or through the Smyrna model, or any of the variations across the state. So those are some of the reasons leading us into exploring this option right now. And as we go through the questions, I'll allow time for any of our elected officials to jump in on the back end also, but I do appreciate that comment. If I could have the next.
Yes, I'm Ms. Johnson, District 5. Well, Waste Management, I'm gonna call their name, Waste Management do nothing but leave trash in the neighborhood. They only have one driver and that arm, and all that arm don't get, they leave it in the street. And I have followed Waste Management through the 5th district, and that's all they leave. My second question is, what are we as a senior, what are you gonna do for us? Because right now, Lanyard, they give us a discount because we are seniors. And that's my question.
Okay, may I ask what that discounted rate is?
I paid $51 a quarter.
51 a quarter. Okay, so $51 for the 3 months worth of service.
Right.
Okay. Thank you for that.
And I just want to correct my fee. I actually pay $22 a month. It's $66 a quarter. So it's not 32, it's 22.
Thank you for that information.
Is that backdoor service?
No, it's not.
The senior that was just talking.
What did you say, ma'am?
You were saying about your service for the seniors. Is that backdoor service included with the $51 per quarter?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's all very, very helpful. Can I have the,
Because my seniors on my street are paying close to 89, 90 bucks per quarter.
I think
And
what,
I called Waste Management. I'm going to give you a discount of $1. Was going to give them a discount of $1, and they would not take a notice from their doctors to say that they cannot roll those trash cans out to the street.
When we say wait,
thank you. I appreciate it. Just for respect of everyone's time, let's go through a few more residents. And if I could just kind of hold you to maybe 2 minutes, that way we have time to maybe.
I am a resident.
Thank you.
I am a resident.
I understand.
Thank you.
Okay. Can I have the next resident, please?
Yes, we want to find out in your feasibility study, how much was this supposed to cost, and where is the city going to get the funds to even start this up?
So the question is, how much is it going to cost, and where is the startup going to come from?
You said you guys had been working on this for over a year. So you did a feasibility study on it, right? What did the feasibility study say? How much is it going to cost, and where is the money going to come from? Does the city have the money in some sort of account already to pay for this program? Because we pay what, $18? What is it?
$18 a month.
$18 a month. And so if you're going to start this up and have to buy all this equipment, hire these new people, where is the money coming from? Is it in an account somewhere that you can write a check? Is it going to come from a special assessment on a tax? How is it going to be paid? What were the numbers from the feasibility study?
Thank you. There is no additional tax that is being imposed on this. The equipment would come out of a contract, no different from, as you hire in the service. So, if the fee is $18, then it would be $18. There would not be an assessment to every resident to come out of pocket to start up this program. That is by no means what the city is asking.
Well, where is the money coming from to do anything with it? It's going to be additional costs associated with it. Now, whether you want to say it is or not, where is the money going to come from?
So the money would come from, as the program starts, as a resident would not see any impact up front. So if your fee, and we'll go with the person who said $18, if that's the fee of the program, you would be charged the $18 based on the services being provided moving forward, if that's the decision that the elected body moves forward with.
You still not saying how much the program is going to cost you. You guys been studying this. How much money are you going to spend to get this implemented? That's what I want to find out. You're going to hire new employees. You got to buy a bunch of different things, office space, a lot of different things. How much money are you guys looking at it's going to cost?
Any fees associated would be parsed out on the monthly basis. And you're right, there are fees associated with any equipment, such as anything that we do for public works, streets, police, fire, that is needed. But as far as the startup of the program, everything that we're currently moving forward with is part of our annual budget. So you as a resident would not see any direct impact as we roll forward, when we roll this forward.
Okay, so it's in the annual budget, right? How much is it? It's in the budget. So since you said it's in the budget, how much is it going to cost?
As far as a cost of the program, I do not have any of that available with me at this time of this presentation.
But you want us to buy into something we don't know what the costs are going to be. See, the problem is,
Sir, what we're asking at this meeting is input as far as services requested so we can continue to move forward. So we're not asking for any buy-in. I threw out a number, but that's completely dependent on what the residents are looking for. If the residents—
I'm not looking for anything. My service is $18, and we want to know what is it going to cost for you guys to start implementing this? Is it going to go up? You say you don't have any numbers and you can't tell us, so you can't guarantee that it won't come back. And all of a sudden, our service is now, well, it's going to be $36 a month because we're doing this and doing that. Give the people the actual cost of what things are going to actually cost. Okay, so you don't never have a cost.
Mr.
Okay,
Thomas,
may I just
interject?
jump in? Can I just jump in for a minute, please?
Okay, and I'll go after you, Councilmember Williams. This is Tammy Sayers.
So this is Councilwoman Williams in District 6, and while I understand your frustration, Mr. Mobley, that we have a number to give you, but part of why we don't have a number to give you is because no decisions have been made. So it sounds like you think we're getting ready to put together our own sanitation department, and that's not the case. It's not my understanding that we're going to be buying equipment, hiring people, or doing any of those things. Or at least is that what you're thinking that we're going to do?
We're trying to figure out all of it, what your plan is to actually do. So, all these other services that you're saying managing, okay, how can the city manage? One person can't manage all that stuff. So that means there's going to be more cost increase involved in it, right? So do you have, like, what is it going to cost to actually implement something like that? That's all I wanted to know. I understand you saying, well, we're not necessarily going to do that. Everything costs. You're going to have to hire more employees. It's going to be a lot more cost, contracts, attorneys, reviewing things. What is the cost that's going to be passed on to us? And so that money is going to be taken from somewhere else, like roads or something, or maybe.
Mr. Mobley, we cannot answer that question until we finish collecting the information to see what it is that residents want. That's the whole point of this meeting, and that's the whole point of putting the survey out there. We need you to tell us what's important and tell us what you want so that then we can see how much it costs. So you're asking us to provide a cost before we know what we want to provide.
And I appreciate that. This is Monique McCoy again. So I'm going to go back and say similar things to what I've already mentioned. If we haven't gotten that far, if you haven't gotten a lot of information from the residents and you still need to glean that kind of data and input, why are we already here having a conversation where it seems like we're trying to be convinced that this is a good idea and legislation is already in draft form?
Now that is a very excellent question, and it is a point that is well taken. And I will openly admit that I don't have an answer to that, because my understanding of these meetings was that they were going to be information gathering sessions from the residents. So to give you some backdrop, Don Toms came to my town hall meeting on Saturday and had this survey where he was explaining how we are thinking about moving forward and asked residents to do the survey. So we did this in person Saturday. Those results were shared with everybody yesterday, and then the decision was made to go ahead and to roll out these virtual sessions to try to get more people involved and engaged and get more responses. So that's why I'm saying that my understanding of today and the next 3 sessions is for us to get the information.
Councilwoman Williams.
That is correct. This is Tammy Sadler-Jones. I'm your city manager. And first of all, I want to thank Mr. Toms for doing the presentation. And as Councilmember Williams said, the purpose of this meeting is a public input meeting. We wanted to hear from the public. And we do certainly appreciate your time. I know everybody's busy and there are many things that you guys could have been doing tonight, but we appreciate you providing some input on this process. Many of the things that we heard tonight, we will definitely take those as next steps, because everything that's been said, feasibility studies, those are all very important. And we want to be as transparent as we can with you on this process. As Mr. Toms mentioned, we do have every intention, if it is the will of this council, in moving forward with this. And again, there has not been anything decided upon. I want to repeat that. There has not been anything decided upon regarding whether or not we will be moving towards this step in regards to sanitation. But the purpose of this meeting, again, is to hear from you all. And we wanted, we have 35,000 households in the city of South Fulton. And so we have about 175 people on this call. We have a long way to go in regards to getting some additional input. And I will stop now, but again, I just wanted to make sure that each of you understand that what you're sharing with us is valuable input, and we really appreciate it.
Ms. Jones, please listen to what the people are saying. There should not be no moving forward. People do not want this. So we definitely need to respect the people.
But we only have 175 people on this call. We have 35,000.
I have talked to over 3,000 of them myself. And I'm telling you, this city does not want that. Please tell the people to respect us.
If I could jump in, Jewel, and
sure.
I greatly appreciate that you personally talked to 3,000 people. Could you have those people do a survey so that we can have that documented? Those 3,000 people that you talked to, because as I'm sure you know, saying you've talked to 3,000 is one thing, but 3,000 surveys would go a long way towards forming the decision.
Ms. Williams, I definitely respect you. But it is, wait, listen to me for a minute. Can I finish what I wanted to say to you?
Yes, ma'am, I just couldn't hear you.
What I was trying to say to you, I respect you, I understand where you're going with that. But it has been my experience, and some of the other people experienced that. Those surveys are used to move forward and tell the state that we had meaningful, faith in what they're doing. Let's be honest with the people. For once, let this council listen to the people. We are their bosses. They may be the leading the city because we voted them in. When they became an elected official, they became an employee of the people. And we are the employers. And we only asking as nice to please respect what we are saying and listen and follow the decisions that we would like for you to follow.
And Ms. Johnson, I appreciate that. We've had a lot of conversations about this, and you're absolutely right. But written documentation is a very, very long way. It's a very long way. So if you can please help us get 3,000 people to put it in writing? So that
No, I
they
won't, because I know what you're gonna
document
do
it?
with it. You're gonna use it against us.
But Ms. Johnson, if you've got 3,000 people saying no, and they document their no, that is overwhelming documented evidence. Please work with us and help us get those 3,000 people to put in writing no. That's all I'm saying.
This is Keith Perry. I appreciate that you guys are reaching out to us for information. Just have two quick things. One, instead of, it seems like we're basing a lot of things on anecdotal information. Let's work to get actual data. And that's something that the city should take care of. Instead of saying, getting opinions and asking us on its forum what we're paying, get actual data so that the council can have facts to form their decisions. That's number one. So whatever you have to do to invest in getting data on this, I highly recommend it. And number two, to the gentleman who's talking about cost, I understand you're proposing something that is not a new a sanitation department, but let's be clear. Even what you're proposing is going to be cost, because the model that you're proposing is a single payer system with the city as the customer, which means the city will have to pay the bills until they are reimbursed by the citizens. And we also know that all citizens do not pay their bills to the city, which means that the city will be responsible for those additional costs, the collection costs, and the bad payment costs when all the residents don't pay. So let's be clear that there is going to be a cost to the city. And just like that gentleman said, how has the city planned to pay for those costs when they don't know what the reimbursement rate is going to be from the citizens? So I appreciate you guys reaching out to us, but I think you guys have a lot more work to do before you come back to us and ask us those questions. Because these are questions we're asking of you that you should have the answers to, so then we can give valuable input back to you. But just asking, hey, what is it like out there for you? What are you paying? And it really seems like you have no idea what's really going on out there in the city.
And I echo that, because yeah, to come and ask us how much we're paying, it sounds like you have not found out from those companies how much they're charging, or even how much it would cost the city to run an operation such as that. So I agree, you probably do need to go back and do your homework, some more homework, so that you can bring us more facts, so that we can then have input if needed at that time. But the consensus seems to be that we do not want a one source provider for our trash services.
Mr. Thomas, last time.
I agree with the one source. I have a quick question. If we do this survey or poll or whatever it is that we decide to do, and the majority comes back as, no, we do not choose to take this path, does that instantly mean that this conversation is off the table, or you guys go back to the drawing board? Like, what is the next step? Because I feel like right now we're talking about, some people don't want it. Let's get the data to support what it is that we want, and then let's move forward with the next steps. Because I don't really see a solution coming about on this call right now. We need the artifacts to support if the city does not, if we do not want to go with the one source and move to the next subject. Let's not waste time. Let's not waste money in doing something that the citizens do not want.
Mr. Thomas, let me chime in real quick. This is Councilman Corey A. Reeves. I just want to let you know the one source provider information. I'm sorry to inform you that was false news, and so we was looking at that model. And one of the reasons why we're asking for the price is because the factual situation is there are neighbors on the same street with the same collection with two different bills, and so that's what we are trying to get from the citizens and the input from you guys, because that situation is going on. So that we need to find out from you guys, because we're not finding out from the providers. So that's the information and the feedback of why we're asking you for the prices and what bills that you are paying, so that it needs to be a fair assessment across the board, and it is not. And we're trying to get down to the heart of that matter so we can hold them accountable. And I do just want to say that and chime in.
Can I ask
I have a question. Let me ask a question. This is Beverly Harvard, and my question is very, very basic. And maybe it was addressed at the beginning of this meeting, which I was not on. But one, what is the problem that we are trying to address with this?
Yes.
Because we got to start with that. Because you have some people saying, oh no, we like it, we like what we got, and da 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 da. Then you have some others, I guess, who feel that they don't. So who has come to the city, to the council, or to the mayor and says, look, we want you all to address something. We don't like how garbage collection is being handled. What is the problem that we're trying to address in trying to determine whether or not we should go to one source or the city should have an operation? What is the problem? Because personally, just to give you my example, is I'm perfectly fine with my trash get picked up every week on time. I have no problem with it. The fee that I'm paying, it seems reasonable to me. It is not, skyrocketed or gone up. It's been pretty consistent over the last 20 something years. So I just need to know, what is the problem that we're trying to address?
I guess I can chime in a little bit from what I've heard from some of the residents, is that there has been different pricing across all over the city from different providers. Just as Council Member Reeves mentioned, two neighbors, they're paying, two different prices and receiving the same service from, the same trash company. So that has been one. Also, two, the number of trucks that are on our streets daily picking up the trash at, some point, a given point in time, there's about 3 waste companies that are coming through subdivisions. So that has also been an issue. And again, it's the accountability part. Even though these companies are private companies, there's still a responsibility to the residents, and there is limited accountability. And yes, Mr. Perry mentioned about, there's more that we can do on that front. That's something that we can definitely take back. But those are some of the things that, we've heard from residents over this 4-year or 5-year period of being a city, of actually just, trying to bring or, gather some control around the trash, the sanitation services.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm sorry. Mel Keaton, District 4. All right, so I was looking at a lot of different things. One of the things I talked about was the first thing I wanted to discuss was, in the near future, are we looking to transition away from private owned sanitation into a city owned ran? And the question I had for the GFL representative is, are you guys going to increase your customer service and be available? Because that's another thing. There's no accountability, like everybody says. It's nobody available to answer the phones, handle bills, or it's no customer service. So are you guys do you plan to do a better job with that? And for the city, the other question for the city council, has anybody looked at how little GFL pays in taxes and property taxes? Because I see they have a transfer center on Welcome Mall, and they have one on Merck Road. And the one, I think we are paying the taxes for the one on Merck Road, I think, but the one on Welcome Mall, they're not paying a lot of taxes for that land. So shouldn't we get a discount because the amount of money that they're paying in taxes?
I'm not sure if any council member wants to address part of that, but let me address one part of that. There's nobody that I'm aware on this phone call that is works with GFL. Most of us doing the presentation are with the city of South Fulton. So I cannot answer any of the GFL specific questions that you just brought up. The Merck Mile facility is owned by Fulton County and partially run through the city of South Fulton. So that property is Fulton County property. So I'm not aware that Fulton County pays property taxes to themselves or to us. As far as the first part of your question, I'm not sure if any elected official wants to address any of those items, but again, the GFL specific questions I cannot address. But I also want to say that I know there's a lot of questions here. Again, this was a gathering session that we want to listen, take note, and we've heard plenty of great comments from the audience. But you know, I know we allowed about an hour, so let me turn it over to if Mayor Khalid is still in the room to kind of wrap it up for us, and then we will take a lot of the responses, gather answers, and post them so everyone can read. And again, this was merely intended for some input and gathering. We did hear a lot of great comments. So with that, is Mayor Khalid still in the chat room?
And Mr. Thomas, before you move forward with Mayor Khalid, also too for the surveys, for the actually being available on the website, and do we have a timeline of when you are expecting the surveys to be completed and for those results to be shared with the community? Is there a deadline for that?
There's no drop dead deadline at this point. We are just rolling out the survey. We'll probably have a follow-up survey based on some information we provided. And I will get with our communication team to see if we could set up an entire web page for this. That way we can post information, have a method to take on some additional questions that we may not have been able to answer tonight, and also post the survey results, follow-up survey results, and some direct questions to what we're hearing. So I do appreciate that.
And then also too, just one other thing for those who are not, very savvy with, social media or the website, for those older residents, just if there's a postcard that can be mailed out or something to get them to also participate in this process would be very helpful as well.
Thank you for that. Is the mayor still with us? If not, we'll.
I'm not sure, Mr. Towns, but one of the things, this is Councilman Corey A. Reeves, is that I do want to thank each and every single resident who joined this call and for being a participant and taking time out of your day. And just believe you me that your input is warranted and needed and will not go overlooked. And, that being said, I just want to thank you again for being the best part of the city and being engaged in this process.
With that, thank you everyone for joining us this evening.
Thank you for joining. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night, all.
Good night.